What's up guys, it's Ryan and you're watching Ryan Vision. Doing something a little different today, getting in front of the camera for a change. Some of you guys have actually requested that in messages and comments, and I don't know, my whole thing was Ryan Vision is, you know, you're seeing what I'm seeing, so I'm always behind the camera type of deal. But hey, if you want it, you got it. So here I am on my 1988 Jeep Comanche pickup truck. It's a short bed. It was originally a two-wheel drive, just recently converted to four-wheel drive thanks to my buddy Brian Sanders. I'll talk about that a little bit more, but mainly in this video what I want to go over is how I got this rust-free two-wheel drive running, kind of driving Comanche for $1,500. It's a pretty interesting story. So a lot of you are asking, man, how'd you get it so cheap? So I figure I'll run you through that today. So I was looking for a Comanche for a long time. Always liked them. Really wanted one. Fully expected to have to do some restoration work and things like that. Originally wanted to find a four-wheel drive. I wanted a four-wheel drive. I wanted an automatic, and just kept looking and wasn't finding much. Was finding some that were pretty beat up, finding some that weren't running. Some that were running but very bad rust, and I dealt with rust on the LJ. Some of you guys know all that, so I wanted to stay away from rust, and just kept looking, wasn't in a hurry, just kept an eye on the market, and finally came across this one. And the guy was asking close to $5,000 for it. I don't remember the exact figure, but I want to say it was like $4,700 or something like that. I found it on Facebook Marketplace. So I hit him up and basically said, you know, like the rig, looks pretty nice. You're local, I'd like to check it out this weekend. But, you know, tell me a little bit about it, what's the deal? And he said, oh, it's got some quirks, you know. And I didn't know the whole Renix situation back then. Didn't even know what Renix was, didn't know anything about it. So when he said quirks, I just kind of figured, oh, that's a Jeep thing, but didn't know about Renix. I'll get more into that. So anyways, the guy basically says, well, look, here's the deal. It's a two-wheel drive truck. I'm working on swapping it to four-wheel drive, and I have all the parts needed to do that. So there was already a high pinion Dana 30 front axle on it already installed. And he had a AX15 transmission, manual transmission, a 231 transfer case. He had the manual pedals, everything that was needed to swap this to a four-wheel drive manual transmission with the AX15. So he was kind of including that in the price of, let's just say $4,700. It was somewhere in that neighborhood. And so I told him, you know, hey, I don't really need or want any of those parts. I'm planning to do a 4x4 swap, but I'm planning to do an automatic. How you doing, Dan?
Hey, how you
doing? Doing all right. Shooting a little YouTube video. Got the Comanche 4x4 swapped. I got the Comanche all 4x4 now. Yeah, my buddy took care of her. She's running a lot better, and now four-wheel drive, got some fresh tires, so you might not have to bail me out down there again. Oh no, I'm keeping her. I'm keeping her. You know how it goes, Jeep life. Have a good one, Dan. That's my neighbor. He's a Jeep guy also. He's got an old CJ and also TJ, and he's got a Terra Low kit in it. Real nice guy, retired Air Force. I think we got some deer running through the property. Anyways, I get easily distracted, especially when I'm drinking beer. But back to the Comanche, I said, you know, $4,700. I don't really need all that, all those parts. I want an automatic, you know, blah, 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 blah. So we went back and forth on the price. We ended up at $3,500, and he was just kind of like, hey, look, here's the deal. I'll throw all the stuff in anyways. I don't need it, so $3,500 takes the truck and the parts. Use them, sell them, whatever you want to do. And I said, okay, that's fair. So how about I come out Sunday, take a look at it. So this was probably like Thursday. Friday I hit him up. I said, hey, are we still good for the weekend? I want to come check it out. It was a little bit of a drive, maybe an hour and a half. And he says, hey, call me as soon as you can. So I'm like, oh gosh, what's going on now? So I give the guy a call, and this dude had been real straightforward, so I didn't really have a reason not to trust him, but the story kind of got a little sketchy. So I call him. I said, hey man, what's going on? He says, dude, you're not gonna believe this. So this guy showed up with a Cummins turbo diesel Dodge Ram pickup truck. I forget what year it was. I want to say like maybe late 90s or something. Very clean, super low miles for a diesel, and it was a manual transmission. And the guy basically showed up and traded that truck straight across for the Comanche with another $1,500. So the guy with the Comanche gave this dude $1,500 and the Comanche for this Dodge truck that I guess was just pristine. So that guy, the guy that had the Comanche, he was so sketched out by this deal on the Dodge that he said he actually involved the police and checked it out, made sure it wasn't stolen, made sure everything was on the up and up. It all checked out. So come to find out, this dude had bought that Dodge from his parents or his girlfriend's parents for $3,000, which obviously that truck's worth way more than $3,000, but it was an insider family deal. They hooked him up for $3,000. So he had it. It was all free and clear, beautiful truck. Well, he wanted a Comanche. So he trades this guy and the Dodge truck, but he gets $1,500 cash from the Comanche guy, and he takes off in the Comanche. Well, he leaves the unsigned pink slip with the previous Comanche guy, the guy I'm talking to on the phone. So, kind of a long story, as short as I can make it, the truck was rough. Death wobble like crazy at 45 miles an hour. Really, really bad death wobble. I mean, so bad that you have to stop. Some vehicles you can kind of get back out of it. This thing was so violent, just shaking, you had to actually stop, pull off to the side of the road, and totally reset yourself. Once you gathered yourself, I mean, it was crazy death wobble. So, and a lot of other quirks, like I mentioned. It doesn't always want to start. At one point there was a hot wire under the hood that you could touch to the positive battery terminal to start it. Weird stuff with the column, just a bunch of weird things. You kind of had to know how to drive this truck. So the guy gets home, which was pretty far from where he picked the Comanche up. So it must have been a hell of a ride. And he hits the guy back up that now has his Dodge truck and says, hey man, this thing is way more of a project than I was anticipating. We got to trade back. And the guy's like, no, man, deal's a deal, a trade's a trade. I need this truck, I need a tow rig. It's a business transaction, it's done. And the guy's like, man, I guess didn't push too hard on it. He said, okay, well, how about this, man? Just give me $1,500. Give me another $1,500, basically, so he breaks even on it or whatever. So the guy's like, no, we made a deal. I'm not giving you any more money, But that's when the guy said, but I know someone. He's talking about me. He said, I know someone that's interested in buying the Comanche, and maybe he'll give you $1,500 for it, just as it is right now with all the problems and everything like that. And so he's like, okay, well, hit him up. If he's down to meet up tonight and give me $1,500 cash, I'll give him the Comanche. So I'm having the conversation with this guy, and it's just sounding kind of too good to be true. And the whole thing with the Dodge truck, it's like I said, I wanted to trust the guy, but I was still getting sketched out by this. But I wasn't going to give up the chance of this opportunity actually coming through. Like, if I could get the truck for $1,500, I wasn't going to let that slip away. So I just kind of told him, I said, look, man, here's the deal. You know, if this is some kind of scam to rob me for $1,500 cash, I know you don't know me, but you know, that's going to be a problem for you guys. Like, that's, you know, not going to go smooth. I'm not just going to lay down and be a victim for you guys. So, you know, I'm not trying to threaten you. I'm just letting you know, like, you know, I'm prepared to deal with the situation if you guys try to pull a stunt. And he kind of was quiet for a second, and he's like, oh, no, man, I swear everything's good. Everything I told you is true. Nobody's trying to rob you, blah, 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 blah. So I said, all right, well, give me this dude's number, the guy that's got the Jeep now. Give me the number, and I'm going to get a hold of him. So this dude's just trying to basically break even. He's already got the $1,500 cash from the guy who traded the Comanche for the Dodge. He's trying to get another $1,500 cash from me. That way he has $3,000 back that he paid for this Dodge truck, and he doesn't have the Dodge truck anymore. So he's back at square one, basically. So I call this guy, and really didn't seem sketchy to me, you know. Seemed pretty straightforward. He was really honest about the condition of the truck. He was kind of almost like, are you sure you want it? You know, this, that, and the other is wrong, and it shakes, and this, you know. And I was like, yeah, I know all that, and that's why, you know, I'm only willing to pay $1,500. I'm good with all that. I said, but does it overheat? He said, no, doesn't overheat. I said, okay, so you can drive it? And he goes, oh, I don't want to drive it anymore. He said, you can come get it up in, I think it was Cameron Park. And I said, I don't know, man, that's pretty far from me. Can you bring it down? He really didn't want to drive it. It was pulling teeth. He's like, I'm done driving that thing. And so that's kind of telling me, you know, the condition of the death wobble and everything. So finally he says, all right, you know, I'll take it down to Douglas. There's a bank over on Douglas, and I don't know, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to think of the street names, it doesn't matter. But anyways, like Folsom area. So kind of the halfway point between me and him. So he gets there, it's nighttime, and I hear him come squealing in because the rear end ended up being welded. So it's just squealing the tires in, you know. And I think he had his girlfriend follow him in another car. She was going to run him home, and my ran me over to the bank. And it was actually really funny because there's this janitor inside the bank. It's nighttime, and he sees these vehicles staging up outside, and I swear I think the dude thought we were about to rob the place. He was in there like, oh crap. And I think he actually wanted to leave, but he stayed longer because we were there and he didn't know what was going on. So it's just, the whole thing is kind of funny. So anyways, my wife sketched out, his girls sketched out. He's telling me about this whole deal. I said, yeah, I believe it. I feel the same way. We're all kind of sketched out here. So anyways, nighttime, but there's some lights in the parking lot, and I'm checking out the truck, and the body's pretty straight. I mean, as you can probably see in the camera, there's like a dent in the door, nothing too crazy. There's a little dent over here and one in the door, but I mean, the body is solid. And it looks to be all the original panels. Most of it's like original Colorado red paint. Looks like there's a little touch up here and there. But the body just looked really, really straight and really solid to me. So I got underneath with the light as much as I could, and I was looking for rust. You know, I was looking for any rust underneath. Neighbors going by. We're out in the country now. We've only been here a few months, but everybody's so friendly. You know, like Dan that said hi, and when people drive by and they see you, they slow down and make sure they see you wave. I just love it out here. But anyways, you know, it was just this clean truck, and yeah, it was running really, idling really high, and I knew something was up with the rear end, like I said, the squealing tires, but the body was great. The interior was mostly complete. The door panel at the time wasn't installed on the passenger door, but it was there, and everything was there to put it on. There was a lot of like trash and stuff inside, but I could just tell, you know, it was in pretty good shape as far as like it had a bench seat. Dash was pretty good, had a little dash cover. Dash had a little crack in it. But you know, it looked really good for 1,500 bucks. I was like, dude, I will get this thing home. You know, even if I can't drive it, I will tow this thing home. I'll call AAA or something. So yeah, pulled out the money, counted out 1,500 bucks, shook his hand, he was happy. And then the last words to me was, he said, man, whatever you do, don't hit 45 on the speedo. He said, that's not the actual speed, but if you hit 45 on the speedo, you better hang on. And if you guys know me, you already know I was gonna hit 45. I just had to see what it did. So anyways, he got the money. My wife took off, he took off with his girlfriend, and now it's just me and the Comanche and the dude in the bank that wants to leave when I leave. And you know, she was already running, threw in reverse. She kind of barked the tires because she was revved up so high, backed up, and she's just squealing the tires because it's welded up. But I got out on the road and it was doing this really high idle, so you didn't even have to touch the gas. It was really funny. You could just, it was like autopilot. You just hover over the brake and get ready to stop, and then when you're at the stoplight, it's like lurching forward. It wants to go, and as soon as you pop off the brake, it just goes. So it was interesting, but you know, headlights worked, turn signals were working. It was cold at the time, the heater was working, it was not overheating, everything was going pretty good. And then I said, let's see what 45 does. So I got it up to 45, and I was coming down this hill, which probably wasn't the best place to do it. And oh my gosh, guys, it just got to just the whole truck. I mean, just shaking, shaking, shaking. And tried to get out of it, tried to throttle, tried to brake, tried to steer. You know, wasn't happening. I literally had to pull over onto a sidewalk. There was like no shoulder there. It was a terrible place to try it. And pulled over, got it to stop. And it's funny, like the guy said, I kind of had to gather myself, like, whoa, that was terrible. And I mean, you feel like parts were gonna fly off. It was just the worst death wobble. So anyways, collected myself, got back on the road and just kept it under 45, and cruised back to my place on the surface streets, got it home, and just went to bed. It was late at night. This whole deal happened pretty late at night. So next day, got a much better look at it in the daylight, and oh gosh, I just felt even better about the transaction. I just kept saying to myself, 1,500 bucks, like, wow, you know, what a score. And I got underneath and just looking hard for rust, couldn't find any. It was dirty for a two-wheel drive. There's a lot of dirt. I think they were doing some off-roading on it anyways. So eventually just washed it, started cleaning out the interior, getting all the trash out of there, putting the door panel on. And I'll make another video going through the details of the truck itself and the 4x4 swap and everything that's been done to it. And there's a lot more to do to it, but just a great truck for 1,500 bucks. And then my buddy Nathan, who a lot of you guys know as Niner Nate on Instagram, he had that big old 5.9 ZJ that he built and eventually sold. He came over and put in like a day's work doing ball joints on the high pinion Dana 30 up front. So it was still two-wheel drive, but it had the axle already mounted, and it has short arms that are adjustable, but it needed ball joints. It needed ball joints bad, and we put some other stuff on too. But the ball joints and tightening the track bar bracket on the frame side, that's what killed the death wobble. After that, we were solid. And then I did get new tires for it. I got 31 by 1050s, the same ones that I have on the LJ. They're made by Cooper. It's called a Mastercraft Courser MXT, I believe. Really nice tire, been great on the LJ. So I got a set of those, the 31 1050s, like I said. And then I got a set of really clean 15 by 8, I believe, Canyon wheels from a 2000 TJ. But they also are the same exact wheels that I originally had on Project ZJ. So that was kind of cool to get those. And I think they look really good on here. I had some black wheels. Didn't really do it justice. If you look on my Instagram, you can see before after. These really cleaned it up. So yeah, I've been, you know, putting a little money into it now. Paid my buddy Brian to get the 4x4 swap taken care of. Got a set of Tom Woods custom drive shafts front and rear, and went with heavy duty ones because I do plan to wheel it eventually. Right now it's mainly for, I know you guys can't see, but my lower properties down here, I have some acreage, and I just need to get down there and be able to run a chainsaw and bring a bunch of wood back up to the main property. and I took it down there in two-wheel drive and got stuck. I had to have my wife pull me out with the LJ, so that's kind of what started the whole 4x4 swap. So yeah, Brian took care of that, and I scored the 231 already bolted to a AW4 transmission that was rebuilt. It was nice too. It was all painted black and everything. Fresh torque converter. I had a hydro assist steering kit that I never used on the ZJ, and didn't plan on using for this, and so it was sitting there. I wanted to use it, but it was just sitting there, and I didn't have anything to put it on anymore. Like it would have worked on the LJ, but you know, I'm actually kind of not sure what I'm going to do with the LJ as far as build from this point forward. So this guy needed that. He had a transmission transfer case for this. It was out of an 88 Renix XJ, so it was bolt right into this. Everything would work perfectly, and drove up to Oroville in this to get that, and it was a straight across trade. So he got the hydro assist kit, and I got the transmission and transfer case all bolted together, ready to go. Brian slapped that in. Like I said, we got the Tom Woods drive shafts in there. Big thanks to Sean at Tom Woods for that. And then yeah, paid Nate for his work on the ball joints. He knocked that out, and I helped out on a couple of things toward the end, but he did the majority of the work on that. That woodpecker going. And from there, just some parts. I got some LED headlights and new corner lenses, turn signal lenses, just to freshen it up a little bit. Throttle position sensor, gosh, you name it. Pretty much all the sensors. Whatever parts Brian needed. So I probably have close to, including the purchase of the truck, I'd say I probably have around 5,000 into it at this point, which quite honestly is probably what I should have paid for it in the original condition I got it. So I think that's still a big score to be into this thing $5 grand now and have a clean, straight body, straight for the most part, rust-free, four-wheel drive, automatic, great running little truck for $5 grand. I'm pretty stoked about that. So we'll see what's going to happen. I do suspect it'll end up lifted more, probably on 35s. I think it might get a heavier duty rear end in it. It's got the Dana 35 right now. You know, might just beef that up, or I might throw a set of axles under it. We'll see. But I think probably stick to 35 or smaller tires. I don't think I'm going to go 37s. Long arm in the front for sure. Possibly eventually a 4-link conversion in the back. Get rid of the leaf springs, but we'll see. It's all just up in the air at the moment. Definitely though, want to do bucket seats instead of the bench seat, and have a nice console in the middle with cup holders and stuff like that, some storage. So and I love the toolbox. It came with the toolbox, and I'm gonna keep that. I really like that. Comes in handy. I can keep some stuff in there, gloves, tools, you know, fluids, different things in there. It locks and everything. So love the truck. Can't believe I got it for $1,500. Very excited about it. So I thought I'd share that story with you guys today. A lot of you have been asking about it. Now I don't have to tell it over and over. I can just link people to the video. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll keep you posted on this. Sorry I didn't catch the swap or any of that on video. I kind of been out of the YouTube grind for a little bit, just been busy with other things. A lot of it, the property, it's a lot of work, just constantly mowing and killing rattlesnakes and all sorts of projects and stuff going on. But I'll try to keep in touch with you guys more often. I'll try to do more videos, keep you posted more on this build, and I still got to figure out what I'm doing with the LJ. Not quite sure on that, but I'll let you guys know. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys all had a fun, safe 4th of July. Cheers, and we'll see you on the next one.